Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm with my good friend, Brian Brooks, the president of EE Ward. What's up, Brian? How's it going, man?
Hey, Ben, what's going on? How are you doing?
Dude, I am so blessed, man. It's Friday. The snow is melting here in Dallas. I'm talking to my buddy, Brian, the longest continuously owned Black-owned moving company, or no, Black-owned company in general in the United States.
Continuously operating.
Right?
Continuously operating. That's the key. That's the key catch. Yes.
Who was the one that like paused for a minute and came back that really might lay claim to number one? Do we know? Who's that caveat cutting out right there? I want to know. Is there like who? Because I hear the like the
McDowell's. I'm worried about McDowell's.
McDowell's is coming to America. Is that it?
Yeah.
John Amos. Shout out to John Amos and McDowell's. Been in the family for 150 years. But no, Brian, you've been in business for how long now?
The company's been in business for 140 years. Started in 1881 by John T. Ward and his son.
I was going to say you weren't there day one, were you?
Yeah, I got a special potion. I have to hook you up with that.
No, but 140 years though, that's incredible though. And I think it's so awesome when we talk about, we got people coming in right now, and real quick, let's just pause and just welcome everybody to the program. Hey, if you're watching right now, go ahead and leave something in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are, what you're doing. It's Friday. It's 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock Eastern. It's 3 o'clock Central. It's me doing math. 10 o'clock in the UK. Let me know what you're up to. If you're having a little happy hour, let me know. Love to hear your questions, your comments. We're going to go ahead and get to all those today. This is a really special guest. This is kind of near and dear to my heart, so I'm super excited Brian made time for us today. Also, if you haven't done so already, go to our website, loveandreload.com/community. The link is down there. It won't work. It's not actually a link. It's a URL. Just go, just write it down and go there. Don't click out of this screen. Open a new window. Okay. We got to be very, very obvious with the people. Loveandreload.com/community. Go there, register, because we're in our 8 weeks of giving right now. So thanks. Shout out to First Tech Federal Credit Union, who is sponsoring our wine giveaway. Today, we're actually giving away not one, but 2 bottles of wine. It's Friday. It is Friday, right? It's Friday, so we're giving away 2 bottles of wine. Janet Turner has picked them out for you, and she will be on later to tell us about those. So go down to loveandreload.com/community. Sign up now. We got a bunch of people checking in real quick. Let's see where everybody's coming to us from. Brian, where are you coming to us from right now?
Coming to you from Columbus, Ohio.
Nice. So I didn't realize, this is on me. I'm going to make fun of myself for a second. I didn't realize how big Columbus, Ohio is. Like, to be honest with you, I thought of like Columbus, Ohio as being like the 3rd largest city in Ohio, but it's not anymore. It's grown a lot.
Yeah. It probably is like number 1 now, obviously sharing that with Cleveland and Cincinnati. But no, Columbus is it's definitely growing. I just heard something on NPR this morning where we're expecting 1 million people, I think, over the next decade or something like that to come to Columbus.
It's incredible. I looked it up the other day after we talked, and it was number 14 in the country, Columbus, Ohio.
That's right. You told me I lived in a small market about a week ago.
I was like, man, you got these small market moves, man. I don't know. And you're like, man, I didn't want to say nothing, but you were completely wrong. I went and looked up. It was number 14 in the country.
Right.
I stand corrected. Y'all could do much better than just a hockey team. You do have a semi-pro football team playing.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So.
Let's see here. We got Tim Quirk checking in here. Hello, Ben and Brian from Western New York. What up, Tim? Jamie Massler. What's up, Jamie? Cheers from Frozen, Mississippi. I haven't seen Jamie in forever. What's up? Jack Jampel. Hi, Brian and Ben. It's always good to hear Jack in the house. Jack, got to give me a question today, Jack. I love your questions. Francine Dresty. Hi, Ben and Brian. Happy Friday. How are you guys doing? Pretty good. Whoa, 140 years. Yeah, let's stay on this just for a second because this is incredible. So this is a big year for y'all, huh, Brian?
No, 140, 14 decades is big. I mean, it's really big for us. It's big for the legacy. It's big for everything that the company has, stood for, endured, you know, it's just a lot behind the story of, you know, just E.E. Ward moving and storage.
Break it
Really
down
just
real quick for people that don't know the whole story and haven't kept up with it. Give us a high level real quick.
so yeah. So high level is that E.E. Ward moving and storage was founded by John T. Ward. But what was interesting about John T. and his life, John T. was born in 1820 in Virginia and then moved to the Ohio area when he was a teenager. And then, you know, and then later in his years, he became a conductor on the Underground Railroad. And so, you know, he took on that task of so many, of where he was helping people free, you know, slaves. John T. was born a free man, but he was able to help people who were enslaved to escape freedom to the north from the south. And so, you know, the Underground Railroad, you know, people, you know, kids, they're like, oh, was it, you know, was it really a railroad? No, it was a route, but it was underground because you had to be doing it in secrecy. It had to be under the cover at night, or just, you know, people, so you didn't know what was going on. So, but John T., you know, for those of us in Ohio, he kind of had his point. He had his way stations point on the Underground Railroad that went from the Washington Courthouse, above the Washington Courthouse area, which is just south of Columbus, up to what we call as Worthington and then Delaware area, which is just north of Columbus. So in reality, that's like, you know, 40 miles, right? But with a horse, 2 horses in a wagon, and then trying to avoid, you know, getting, you know, run up on and something bad happening, you know, that's we're talking a half, you know, more than a half a day's work.
Yeah, it probably felt like a lifetime for people that were
Sure.
traveling, wow, clandestinely. Now, I think I remember going back to my high school days when I read Uncle Tom's Cabin about crossing over the river into Ohio. Was Ohio a free state?
Yes, it was.
I'm
Yep.
testing you. No, nobody's gonna fact check you
Right.
here. No, I think Ohio was a very strategically important state, because I believe when you cross over that river from
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky to Ohio,
Right.
that was, you know, you felt pretty good at that point. And I think a lot of times you still had to make it to Canada because the rules were the slave catchers could actually come over the border, I say the Mason-Dixon, and actually recapture slaves because they were property, you know, unfortunately. And so Ohio was super important. But you know, what's funny is we forget how we forget these things, you know. And so the company was founded in 1881. Doing the math now,
Right. So the point is that John T., you know, with that, you know, he had his introduction into just his, you know, with his horses and his wagon. And so, you know, after slavery, after 1865, he said, you know, I got to do something else here, you know, but I know, you know, I've got a team of horses, I've got a wagon. So he started hauling like small commodities and goods. He started briefly, like people would wanting to move a piano or a safe or something along those lines. And, you know, he just became that person that people called to move things. And then his son William, you know, came along, and basically they started, you know, at that time it was a Ward transfer lines. They started the company officially as a company in 1881. And then, you know, so William, you know, was really the strong figurehead behind it, because at that time John T. was 61 years old. So William took it on. And then where the company really got its push is in William's son, Edgar Earl, where the EE came from. So
okay.
I can only imagine Edgar was, you know, Edgar had to be feeling himself a little bit, right? So, so Edgar changed it to EE Ward. And then it passed down to his sons after that. And then Eldon Ward, who was one of Edgar's sons, was pretty much the figurehead of the company for the next 50 years. And Eldon was my godfather, and that's who I bought the company from in 2001.
Wow. And is that the gentleman over your shoulder there in that
Correct.
blue poster there
That's correct.
Seen? Yeah, that's incredible. And what made, so let me ask you, I mean, this is great. And I want to hear your questions if you're watching right now. Hit that like button. I love this story, right? Hit that hearts and little heart to Columbus. Let me know, get involved in the comments here. We want to read all of your comments and questions. But I got to ask you, you know, what made you want to buy into a moving business? This is not a business that a lot of bright young professionals say, you know, gosh, you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to go run that moving business over there. What made you want to do that?
You know, it was a point in time in my life that I wanted to get heavy into business. I mean, I had an entrepreneurial background, and my family were entrepreneurs, owned some real estate and things of that nature. And I had, dibble dabble in small business ventures here and there, but had that urge to do something a little, had a lot more moving parts, and I got all the moving parts I could ever ask for, moving business. But it was that, and then there was also a little bit of there's a little emotion with it, because the business, Eldon had retired in late 1990s. He had retired to the Phoenix, Arizona area, and his niece, Miss White, was running the business, and it just was getting a little overwhelming for them to run and continue. And as we always know in any business, you have to evolve to survive, and you have to reinvest, and you've got to have that. You've got to have a passion and a strategy to take it forward. And that wasn't really there. People were ready for a change. Obviously, like I said, Eldon had retired. He was in his 80s at this time, so it was at a crossroads of going out of business or selling. And so my mother called me and said, you got to do something. Eldon needs your help. The business is going to close, or they're going to sell it. You got to step up. And not that was my only reason for doing it, but I said, okay, well, let me look into this. And
at that time, was it still the longest continuously running Black-owned business in America?
Correct. Yeah.
So there had to be like a tremendous amount of obligation almost to say, hey, we can't let this die with this generation.
I mean, there was definitely that. There was the, like I said, emotion and business don't always mix. It's kind of like oil and water sometimes, but they both have, has its place in it. But, there was that, like, I gotta at least look into this, I gotta at least peel back the onion and see what's there, and, do some deep diving and do some due diligence. And, like, I did not come from the industry. So it was all very new.
Your story wasn't one of sweeping trucks and working the docks
right.
In the summertime, like everybody else's story. And because I came from outside business. I started in a call center selling pods at one point, right? So people look at me like, well, you don't really know moving, like you haven't spent the summers on a truck, And so do you run into some of that as well, like just sidebar, or no?
Not really, because not really, because back in those early days, I was doing that. I have been on the truck. I just wasn't 15 years old. I was doing it when I was in my, when I was in my 30s. So, the point is, I've done, and I told any of my guys, I've done what you've done. I can, if you don't want to do it, I'll go out there and do it myself. So done it all, inventories, packing,
So you really did truly learn it then again from the ground up, even as a entrepreneur, as a business person who's already in their 30s coming in. That's really interesting. We've got a lot of comments coming in here. I want to hear your questions as well for Brian. We're going to talk about moving. We're going to talk about access to opportunity. We're going to talk about a lot of things here today, but I'd love to hear your questions. We got people checking in. Francine, what's up? Alan King from Germany checking in. Last night was a blast, by the way, talking about the karaoke, the Turn Up the Love for Relo. Yeah, we ended up raising about, I want to say like 13 grand for Move for Hunger yesterday. So thanks to everybody that donated. That was awesome. Victoria checking in from sunny DFW. Yeah, got up to 37 today, Victoria. Hopefully it doesn't freeze tonight and end up in the ditch somewhere. But anyway, Francine, Alan, First Tech Federal Credit Union is my favorite bank. Alan's lobbying for this wine. I have a feeling Alan King would do just about anything for a bottle of wine. Just keep that in mind if you're looking for something done in Germany. Alan will do it for you. Maria from Argentina. What's up, Maria from Argentina? How are you? Valerie checking in from Deluxe. What's up, Val and the Deluxe folks? What? 2 bottles. Janet only prepped 1. Janet, did you get 2 bottles or 1? Janet's looking at me like, what? 2 bottles? Yeah, Janet, we got to do 2 bottles. 2. She's got 2. She's showing me 2. All right. Show me 2. London's in the house. Got my first COVID jab today. They call it jabs over there. You get a shot. We call it a shot. They call it jabs. Don't know whether to celebrate or sleep. Hope you're feeling all right, Richard. Hope you're feeling all right. What's real quick? Let's do this COVID thing, just because it's COVID. We got to talk about it real quick. How has COVID impacted the business in 2020, and what do you see for 2021, man?
I mean, the impact, we've experienced, I mean, what a lot of us in moving have experienced, which, new protocols, new procedures, a whole new, I mean, not that we didn't operate in an environment where safety was first and safety
Yeah, but
was
let's be honest, we
important.
weren't wearing masks and
Right,
rubber
right,
gloves and all this
right. I mean,
PPE and like,
right. I mean, I bought so many masks and, got educated on masks and, N95 or KN95 or stage one. I mean, I didn't know there was a stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 surgical mask, and it's a double woven. I mean, I know way more than I ever want to know about masks, and then and then sanitizer, and I mean, as I look where we are now, pretty much 12 months later from when it all kind of hit us all right in the face, it's like, wow, we've learned a lot. Because I mean, I can only laugh at myself right now about the ways we were running around, 11 months ago, trying to find masks and sanitizer and hustling for that stuff and trading people for stuff. And I was going to I went to the guys who made, all natural, like soaps and things. And they're like, we can make this sanitizer. We're going to the vodka guy, and we're going to get the bad parts of the batch. And, I was just, I look back.
We were basically putting like Kettle One on our hands at one point over the summertime. Like,
right.
transferees are calling in. I think my mover's drunk. No, he's just sanitary. Like, get over it.
Right. The Kettle One with the lavender drop, and it's just like, I gotta say, we can laugh right now because we were at a mad, feverish pace to find all this stuff the PPE we needed, and then the prices went through the roof. So it's been a heck of an experience, education, but hey, movers are resilient. I mean, we're a resilient breed. Our folks out there in the field every day are super resilient, used to overcoming obstacles. Overcoming shuttles and loading something in West Virginia or somewhere on the side of a mountain or Asheville. I mean, that's just what we do, right? So, but this just threw a new little wrinkle in it, of just being safe and then understanding that what we really try to do a good job of is that our HR person, Becky, just did a great, what we did is we just said, let's just do our job and try to educate as much as possible, because you'd get these big, long, drawn out emails from the CDC or from your local government, and so we were trying to do a good job of just breaking all that down. What's really important, so we just try to do as much continuous messaging as possible, once or twice a month or every other week as we learn things, because a lot of what I think was learned from COVID is it's very dangerous when there's something going on that's detrimental to people's lives, but you don't know what's the safe path to navigate, and so that I think led to a lot of the panic and the, how do we operate safely, and going in, because obviously our whole world is going around going to someone's home, and so
right. Where the aerosolized COVID virus is
right.
And being in the home. That was one of the major risk factors, was how long are you exposed in the same airspace with people, and
right.
being in the same airspace with people is what we do. And it was apparent on my move last week, right? These people are in my home for 2 days at origin, 2 days at destination. Eating lunch at my dinner table. It's so we inevitably become the keepers of public health in a way for these people in these moments. And, to be honest with you, it's not something we're necessarily prepared to do. We've got some people checking in here. Steve Miser checking in as a driver there. What's up, driver? Steve Meyer. Great guest. That's the kind of man we want to pull for. There's a driver. Shout out. Let me ask you, Brian. So Steve's a driver out there, and he's saying he basically wants to come work for EU Ward. Let me ask you. I'm interpreting. Let me ask you though, man. We've heard so much about the driver shortage, and I would say it's not necessarily a driver shortage; it's a labor shortage in general, at all phases, even in the office too. But what do you think companies that are winning are doing to address the the labor shortage in all phases?
Well, it's also it's a willingness to work shortage too. You know, I mean, I don't know. Doesn't matter what the position is, but no, I think what you're doing and what we're trying to do and what we've always continued to do is, I mean, the customer is not. We have more than just the customer that's outside of the office and the one that pays you, you know, for the move. There's the internal customer, and we talk a lot about our internal customer. And so for our coordinator, their customer, you know, is the operations manager. And for the operations manager, his customer is the driver. You know, you've got to service that next person, you know, that next customer, you know, and treat them, you know, and set them up for success. We always talk about that. And, you know, we had a company wide, you know, driver call today. And it's just, you know, all our guys checking in from around the country, you know, had somebody who was like, you know, Ray was sitting right outside of Houston. So I'm sitting here, the road's closed, but I called my shipper and said, I'll be there tomorrow, you know? And so, you know, it's just having that care and concern and, you know, doing everything we can to support each other. You know, so, you know, what can we do? Well, we do as much as we can to be available, lend an ear, you know, but it's a two-way street. I mean, you know, it's not, you know, we all have challenges to overcome, right? But we all have to keep our, you know, our focus on, you know, servicing the customer, the external customer, as well as servicing the internal customer. And we pride ourselves huge on that customer experience.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting as we interview drivers on this program. We've interviewed several. Fred Metzler, Sherelle Bird III, Stephen Meyer is going to come on. We interviewed a couple ladies actually for Women in Trucking Week who pull for Corrigan, do special commodities as well as household goods. And it's interesting to me as I look at it, and the people in the warehouse and the people on the curb look differently than the people in the building and the people sometimes like me that are executives that are selling the business and oftentimes owning the agencies and running the van lines. And, you know, you look at the same problem exists in sports and entertainment. The same problem exists in a lot of areas where the people that are doing the work look different than the people that are owning the companies for which they work for. And I guess one of the questions, as you know, since it is Black History Month and we are spotlighting Black professionals in global mobility, I wanted to ask you, as a Black entrepreneur who owns a moving company, one of the few, I mean, there's probably 5 I can think of, and I feel like I'm pretty well versed, and there's probably 5 I can think of nationwide, right? Maybe less, probably 3 or 4 actually. How do we create opportunities for drivers, let's say, to go into maybe one day owning an agency, or for people who are out there doing the work and know it front to back to transition into actually owning the value that they create?
You know, there's career pathing and developing, you know, but I think the first thing starts with believing in that person, or, you know, I should say taking them serious, but you also have to take yourself serious too, because
what does that mean? Take yourself serious. What does that mean?
You know, so you know, it's no different than the person that is the helper and says, I want to drive one day. I want to go or I drive a straight truck and I want to be a Class A. I want to have a tractor trailer. And when I hear all those conversations, I say, sure, I'll support you in that. But here's what I need you to do, because you know, for me as an owner, I have to know you're serious. Because I'll run at the fire with you. I mean, we can get it done. We can jump all the hurdles, DOT hurdles, training, put you on the road for 5,000 miles with another drive, you know, whatever we got. I mean, we've done that, but you know, but the point is that person they have to. I can't want it more than they want it, you know. So you can help definitely paint that picture, paint the path forward, support that person. But I think the one thing is I take everyone seriously. When they have those aspirations, I take them very seriously. I mean, it would be it'd be great to see a driver of mine, you know, they come to me one day and say, boss, I want to buy your business. Oh, great. Okay. I mean, let's talk about that.
Somebody sold you the company one day, right? And somebody sold them the company one day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's the way the company has to survive, right? One day, right? If this company is going to be a 200-year-old company, Like
exactly.
that's going to have to happen.
Because it won't be me here in 200 years, but
Even with the potion. Yeah, no, but I mean, and that's cool for you to say that, because I think a lot of times, business owners can't really think past their own problems and their own economics to think, necessarily about the greater good, and saying, just because this person wants to own an agency, even if it's not mine, and go out and start their own agency, one day, that in some way, me enabling that person, facilitating that, and giving them a hand up, actually makes me and my company better too. It makes the world, the greater world, better. John Fernandez, actually, shout out to John Fernandez. Actually, I think he's going to be on the program next Friday, hopefully. Says the same problem exists in the RMC realm: lack of owners and senior executives. Great question. Yeah, I mean, it exists across the board.
But here's the one thing, Ben, that I subscribe to. I subscribe to and believe in when the tide rises, all boats rise, right? But everybody doesn't believe in that. Yeah. Hence, that's why there was so many thousands of people out in the streets last year for Black Lives Matter movements. I mean, and that's the challenge that we had, especially as a business owner. I mean, I want the same opportunities. I mean, I have a great team. I have people that care. I have some of the best drivers out there. I have a driver who's won Driver of the Year for North American Van Lines. I have, we've won AMSA, AMSA, RIP AMSA, but I have AMSA.
Pour one out for AMSA out there. Now part of the ATA moving
ATA, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
you guys won the Mover of the Year for AMSA in 2017.
We won that.
The best moving company in the country out of 2,500 movers.
Right, won that. My team. Like I said, my team cares. I've assembled a great team of people who have come from a lot of the major, van lines and places and agencies, and but you know what? Because I say to some of these corporations is, so what else do I have to do? I mean, do I need to walk on my hands, do a flip?
Right.
Because AMSA 2017 awards from RMCs, 3-time Better Business Bureau award. This year last year, a finalist for the International BBB, Ethics Award. And but you know what? It's still not enough. It's not enough.
Isn't that crazy though? That's so crazy to me, because I see the same. I mean, I see it the way you see it too, right? I'm like, on paper, you guys check all the boxes in a major way, right? And yet I would still consider you one of those best kept secrets in the moving business, right? And for me, that's a travesty, I was mentioning you to an RMC today, and I was like, hey, these guys are phenomenal. Here's the profile. He's like, wow. He was kind of blown away, and I was like, yeah, let me introduce you, but he hadn't heard of you, and it's like that's got to change. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're doing this, right? Is because there's so many great professionals, so many great businesses that just don't get spotlighted for some reason or another.
But I got to stop you though. But those who do know us, I challenge those. Why not? I mean, I've sat down with Fortune 100s to this day, and we're just looking at I've been looking across the table at some of these companies for 15 years, and I keep looking like,
what's the problem? What else we got to do? Yeah, I want to source this to the people in the comments right now. So we got a bunch of people watching on LinkedIn. We got a bunch of people on Facebook. Please throw something in the comments. I want to hear from you. We got Paul and Francine and Steve Meyer and Victoria and Richard and Janet and John Fernandez and Jesse and Brian and Alan and everybody. Throw something in the comments for me. Do me a solid. I want to hear your take on this. How do we create? I'm not even going to say create opportunity. I'm going to say create access to opportunity, because it's not about creating opportunities that aren't earned. It's not about creating opportunities that people don't deserve and that people can't perform. It's about creating access to opportunity. And I think that what Brian's demonstrated here with his resume is that if given the access, the opportunity will be earned, right? Because when given the access, whether it be BBB or AMSA or North American, Driver of the Year or whatever, when the playing field is level, that the opportunity is earned. So I'd love to hear your thoughts here. Steve Miser, holy shit, an owner that actually gets it. Yeah, for real, Steve. That's awesome. So I want to stay on this. I want to stay on. Oh, this is great. Jack, I love you, Jack. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate you heeding the call, Jack. Brian, with all due respect, and I'm not trying to minimize your great award, the problem is that there are too many awards that at times it almost diminishes the value.
Okay.
I mean, okay. I mean, winning an award is better than not winning an award. But I'm sure Jack's lobby is filled with van line salespeople that can roll out, the 24 awards that they've won in the last 5 years. So Jack, I feel you on that.
But the award. But here's the thing: I don't care about the award. You can take the award, whatever. It's acrylic and it's plastic and whatever, right? I'm saying that as a benchmark that someone somewhere along the way said, you do an okay job. So somebody had some type of measurement, whatever RMC it is, and everybody in our world has went to those conferences and sat at those venues. And so someone along the way said, well, we've got this metric of measurement. And whatever it means, we're going to say that you fit really well, because we use that same metric of measurement to decide if we give you business or not. So let's turn this around that way too.
Yeah, let's ask Jack. So, and I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So Jack, if it's not the awards and it's not the accolades and it's not and I'll even give it to you, maybe these aren't always empirical, but let's assume if it's not the empirical measures, then what is it, Jack, that wins business in this business? I'd love to ask you, Jack. I'd love to ask you, John Fernandez. I'd love to ask anybody out there that might be in charge of actually Janet sources business, right? OADA, she's been in the business for a minute. I'd like to ask you, what is it that wins business in this industry? I think I know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think it is, Brian?
I want to hear others' comments first.
Okay. All right. Yep. Let's see. And we're gonna wait for people. We're gonna wait for people to come in on this. And while they do, I'm gonna give some really quick little shout outs and welcome people here. Let's see here. People got there. Let's see here. Jan saying, what makes Columbus so popular? We'll get back to that. Brian Rivers, what's up? First Tech Federal Credit Union. Brian's super dude, awesome guy. If you need a loan or some expat finance, hit Brian up there. Our sponsor today. LinkedIn user Columbus, Ohio is a great city. Spent quite a bit of time there a number of years ago when we had a large client in the area. That's what's up. Good plan. Free wine. Dano McCoy, what's up from Vegas? How you doing, Dano? Dano's awesome. Love Dano. Dano's on the show this week. He's out there visiting his mom for her 86th birthday. Shout out to mom. Jesse, what's up, Jesse? What's up, Paul?
Paul Salmon.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got people checking in. Sandra's looking forward to this one. I love the EE Ward story and legacy. Kudos to Brian Brooks. John Fernandez checking in from Phoenix. Sandra put a great link to a EE Ward article in here. So check out that if you want to read deeper here. Victoria says she likes that you kept the name. So I guess Edgar Earl was feeling himself, but Brian kept the name, didn't change it to Brooks Moving and Store. If you change it to Brooks Moving and Store, not saying you would, obviously you want to respect the legacy, but it would still remain as the longest Black-owned business, longest operating, wouldn't it? Because he changed the name at one point, so right? Wouldn't it keep the name? If the name changed?
Well, now, yeah.
If the name changed, the business would still be considered the longest continuously operating, or no?
Yes, common ownership. That's what everything comes back to.
Got you. Let's see here. So we got some people tuning in here and telling us what wins business. Janet Turner says relationships. I agree with that. What do you think, Brian? Relationships?
For sure, of course.
Yeah, I agree. Relationships, which is trust. Do you trust someone? Do you like someone? Do you think?
I'm seeing relationships, service. All those things. But again, so again, checkbox. So relationships, like, you're right. That's with anything. But it's also interesting because as we see these movements, though, and I saw one of the comments in regards to, it seems that these movements from the corporate sector only become popular, when there's people out in the street, with fists up in the air. It's right. It's inconsistent, but why should that even have to happen? It shouldn't even be necessary.
Yeah, to your point, let's see what Victoria says here. I've commented that with the Black Lives Matter protests last year, all of a sudden companies profess their D&I initiatives and commitment, but I say, why do we only see this when there are some sort of national protests? Walk the walk, not just talk the talk. How many are not only hiring, but also supporting minority companies? That's great, Victoria, right? Does somebody need to get shot in order for you to buy black? Shouldn't have to be that way. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Janet says care, concern, attention to detail, and willing to be flexible.
Check box.
Yeah, after you get in the door, right?
Right.
Because you don't know if any of this stuff. I mean, how do you exhibit this stuff unless you're in the door already, right? Which goes back to relationships being step one, I think. John Fernandez said solid solutions, fair costs, and proven resources that differentiate. Yeah. I mean, I think so, but can you even get the opportunity to demonstrate any of those things if you don't have access to the opportunity? Jack says your pricing is all the same. I take issue with this, Jack, but okay. Companies all show excellent metrics, so the only difference is you. Relationship building to know that you have a contact that understands your company and you have a go-to person. I actually think this aspect, as far as having a contact that understands your company and you have a go-to person when stuff goes wrong, is what he didn't say, but you know what's inferred there. To me, is one of the most underrated aspects. Is who do you call when stuff goes sideways? And knowing that you have something, because I mean, we're in the moving business, right? I mean, you're talking about, you know, your driver's in Houston, it's iced over, he calls shipper, I'll be there tomorrow. You know, that shipper's probably calling somebody saying, you know, where's my driver or whatever. You know, who's the intermediary there that gets it taken care of in the building, right? I think that person's so critical. Let's see here. We've got service recovery and problem resolution wins business. This is an imperfect world and mistakes happen. How quickly you address and recover from mistakes is critical. For sure. Matt Shea, awesome company. E.E. Ward, great work. Brian.
Hey, Matt.
He's from another agency. I mean, that's a competitor saying that. Let's see here. Somebody from LinkedIn says also having been crossing your corner wins business. Hey,
it's the hair. You know what? Maybe it's hair. I mean, I need something.
Hair closes deals. That was my buddy Brad Hanlon out there from RAI. Shout out to Brad at Location America. Jamie says it comes down to relationships. If you offer quality service, that's what's up. Zach Stevenson, great Friday show, guys. Love it when Ben has movers on checking in from Florida. Awesome. Last comment on this, and then I want to hear your take on this, Brian, before we do a little wine giveaway here. Richard says, are awards like football trophies? Some are valued more than others, but hey, as a Manchester City fan, I take them all, and we will take them all. So what are your thoughts, having done our little unofficial poll here of what wins business?
No, I think it's the theme. It's true because there's because some of those comments are, I would categorize as what it takes to keep business and maintain it, right? Because there's always a hurdle. But I think what I saw that kind of resonated was, and I agree with it, it's relationships. And let's just be honest. I mean, the old adage, sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know, right? And that's I agree with that. I agree with it. The relationship aspect of everything is so true in so many things. And that's hard to get around at times. It's hard to get around, but I do say this. However, I'll put a however out there. I do challenge that when folks, like we said, unfortunately at the hands of someone being murdered or whatever happens, or people look up and they say, this is not a fair ecosystem, whatever may have spawned that conversation, when people are quick to put the ads out and make the big proclamations of what they're going to do. And then it's just a dog and pony show. It's just a show to say, well, we tried this or we tried that. I mean, whether it's me or anybody else, I mean, the point is be real about it. Be real and don't create the facade that there is this concern. I mean, because I deal a lot better with people when they're realistic with me. I would say to any client or anyone I'm pursuing, hey, here's my thing. Just tell me if there's no opportunity here, or we don't want to work towards something. I appreciate that. I respect you a lot more than you keep telling me, well, can you go into our portal and fill out this? And then did you register as a vendor? And
Have you registered yet? Oh, you haven't registered yet? Well, here, take this sheet of paper and go register, and I'll see you next year, and we can have a different conversation.
So I mean,
about how our portal needs to be updated.
Are you in? That's the common question. Well, are you in our portal? Okay, no, I'm not. But what if I was?
Yeah. And we're not sourcing that, right? So Jack says, Jack says, when we look for suppliers, and I want to point this out, Jack, and this isn't about Jack. This is Jack. This is true for 90%, I would say, of companies. When we look for suppliers, we normally seek out folks we know. It's relationship built even before you have the business. It starts with the relationships. And Jack, I would say, and Jack, again, this is not directed towards you, but I appreciate you being so candid here. So please know that. But I think that since so much of it's relationship based, it makes it really hard because we all have unconscious biases. When we walk into a room, as a white guy, I'm going to speak about myself. I'm not speaking about any other person. As a white guy, when I walk into a room, I tend to gravitate towards people who are like me. Similar age, similar race, similar gender, similar socioeconomic status. I think we tend to have biases where we gravitate towards people like us. So then the next logical progression of that is, so where are our relationships? They tend to be very much homogenous and people like us, right? So unless we are proactively counterbalancing those unconscious biases and consciously going out and seeking to diversify our friend groups, our professional groups. For me, when I started this show, I talk about this all the time. When I started the show, the first 11 guests I had, 8 were white men. There was 1 woman, I want to say, and maybe two men of color, I want to say. Something like that. Somebody brought it to my attention. How come there's all dudes on your show? How come there's no women on your show? Right? I had to consciously say, you know what, gosh, that's not who I want to be. And I had to go out and say, you know what? Because you know what I was doing before? I was just calling up my buddies, and I was like, hey, dude, want to be on my show? Because it's super awkward. It was super vulnerable. It was so I just kind of went to the people I know I could rely on to say yes and just kind of go on this journey with me. But I had to look back and say, well, that outcome was not acceptable to me. That was not representative of the voices of relocation. And so I had to say, you know what? I need to be more intentional about who I bring on, right? And we've done that from a region standpoint. We've done that from a gender standpoint. We've done that from a color standpoint. We've done that from not just household goods, but looking at DSPs and looking at cultural, looking at immigration, looking at HR people. We've been super intentional on the show. And I guess I would hope that anybody watching this sees what we've done here and says this is an object lesson in how to be intentional about diversity. And I would hope that people realize and can confront our own unconscious biases because they exist, they're real. It doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you a person. But not confronting them is when we sometimes end up being not our best selves.
So can I chime in here?
Please.
So one thing I want to say, there are some phenomenal people out there in the procurement world at some of the RMCs and Relo. There's some great people, some great advocates, great champions who have, been very, very good to me, not just as a mover, but as a mover, a minority business owner, right? And so hats off to those, because they're near and dear, and I wish there were more of them, right? But on the flip side, I think about what we're talking about and what you just talked about, your experience. So, and again, I'm not picking on Jack, but he brings up some great comments. But the thing is, you got to put yourself in my shoes, what I'm experiencing. So I'm walking in as the owner and as an African-American person in a minority certified business. This is what I'm experiencing. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm seeing, and everyone's right. I mean, all the comments about great service and being there and responding and 100%. But I'm just letting you know from one guy's seat who's been to the AMSA conventions and the industry conventions and the van line conventions or meetings and the RMC conventions. I'm just letting you know this has been my experience. That's real. Just like you said, Ben, your experience, when you walk in somewhere, that's how you kind of levitate. Well, I walk in and I know what the experience I'm having. And it's been 20 years, of beating the pavement and it's not, listen, we have 20 years. We've learned a lot. We've grown a lot. And I'm very fortunate for what we've been able to do. I just know I'm just going to say that the experience, the struggle, has been more difficult than I think it should have been. I'll just say that.
Yeah, let's see. We got some great comments coming in. Janet, I know wants to give away some wine, but I think this conversation is so important, so I'm just going to sit here for just a second on this, okay? Paul says, we keep saying relationships, and that's true, but I think we are missing the point of how can you build that private relationship when we're not even in the same circles, and some are unwilling to open the door to access to the circle. Outstanding point, Paul. That's, I think, the status of where it is today. And I think that we have an opportunity maybe to shift the narrative. Let's see here. Daniel McCoy, thanks, Ben. Great show. People think of thousands of reasons why they can't do business with minorities. Minority business when they only need one reason why they can. Great. This is great. This is great. We got some great more comments. I'm going to get to all of these. Valerie McKenzie says, being a resource, whether you have the business or not, being a connector or a resource, I think is a great way in the door. Even if I can't help you, I will get you someone who can. Awesome, Valerie. I think Dano, shout out to Dano. I think Dano does a great job of that as well, right? We have to realize that by being a connector and giving influence and giving connection and providing value, we also receive influence, value, and connections. John says, I agree, relationships and connections matter. For sure, John. Love to hear your thoughts on how to start those, because relationships have to start somewhere, right? Now, Jack has a great question here. Jack says, let me turn it around. And Jack, I appreciate your bravery on it. You're always willing to weigh in on difficult conversations. And that means the world to me. And I respect and I appreciate it so much. He says, let me turn it around. So how should companies select household goods movers if all household good companies show awards, perfect metrics, and competitive pricing? Brian, I'm going to ask you this question first, and then I'm going to provide my own answer as well.
Well, I mean, first of all, that's a hypothetical because all don't. I mean, one team won the Super Bowl last week. I mean, it's just there's not everyone, but I understand where you're coming from in that.
So to use this analogy, though, right? Yeah. So Jack will say, but my lobby's full of movers to say, well, I won the NFC East and I won the AFC conference. Well, I won the Super Bowl, but I'm only one mover, so you need four movers, and there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of fake news out there around the awards. Okay,
right.
So what are your thoughts?
But my thing is this, and I appreciate it, Jack. But here's my thing: I can't do business for everybody. All I need is like one or two prime situations, and we're fine. I mean, so the point is, you're right. So companies. But that's the thing. Most of your smaller businesses, especially some of your minority businesses, or even in my shoes, I'm not. I couldn't handle 50 corporations that had 200 moves each. So I'm not asking for that. It's just the opportunity, which was a key word we brought up earlier. The opportunity to get to that which can make you and help you be sustainable. So I'm not opposed to going to all, but the return on that investment of trying to go after those opportunities is it's challenging. It's very challenging.
Yeah, and so Jack, what I would say is about going back to my point earlier about being intentional, right? And saying, okay, you know what? Every 5 years we're going to go to bid, and we're going to reevaluate and reassess. Now, Jack will tell me, because I've had a conversation with Jack. He's like, yeah, but if my 2 household goods suppliers are doing a phenomenal job for me, why should I penalize them? Because they haven't dropped the ball. They do a great job. They win my awards every year. Why should I penalize them, right? And I would say, Jack, I'd say go to bid every 5 years, know what's out there, right? That's your opportunity to kind of go to the market and see what's out there. I would say you give your incumbents a leg up because they know you, they know your culture. So I think if there's a tie goes to the runner, tie goes to the incumbent. Or if you're sourcing for diversity and you realize that this is an area of your business where you believe you can get a diverse spend and still have a best-in-class provider because they're all good. To Jack's kind of inferred point here, if they're all good, then maybe you go with one incumbent and you go with one Black-owned business or one woman-owned business, right? In order to incorporate some diversity into the supply chain. I think also when you're confronted with, 20 responses to an RFP and they all have a page of awards that they've won, I think you start asking for references and making phone calls and seeing how glowing those responses are. Now, Jack's going to probably also say to me, Ben, that's a lot of work. I'm just going about my daily life here in my business. And you're telling me I need to go to bid every 5 years and I need to call 3 references on 20 different moving companies that apply to a service line that wasn't even broken in the first place. And I would say, Jack, I'm over here having a hypothetical conversation with Jack Champel right now. I would say, yeah, Jack, I guess maybe you do. I would say maybe you do. If we're going to be serious, and this isn't about Jack, this is about just in general. But if we're going to be serious about diversity and we're going to be intentional about diversity, I think we do have to go out of our way, kind of to what I was talking about before, right? Our natural bias is to go to work every day and kind of do what we need to do to kind of get by, keep our job, get to that retirement number, and ride off into the sunset. But I think sometimes we have to go out of our way and do a little extra. Let me see what Jack says here. And not even penalize them, House of Goods. Why should I penalize my company potentially with a drop in quality of service? Yeah, but Jack, what if you get a better supplier? What if you get a better supplier? What if all of a sudden your company, which has diversity procurement goals, all of a sudden now gets to check boxes that they haven't checked in the past? What if because they're able to check those boxes with best-in-class diverse suppliers, now they start winning contracts that they were losing before? I was talking to an RMC just yesterday, and she was like, we're going after these federal contracts, and we want to win them, and we need to bring on diverse suppliers, and you're actually going to help me do that if you introduce me to people like Brian Brooks, right? You're actually going to put me in a position where I can now say 20% of my spend goes to a Black-owned business versus 5%, last year. And that might be the difference in me winning this agency bid versus losing this agency bid. So I don't think it's necessarily all downside. I think when white folks, and I'm going to talk about me, I'm not talking about Jack, I'm talking about me. I think when white folks talk about race, we look at it as a pure downside conversation. If we go here, nothing good can happen, only bad. And I would actually flip that around and say that's not the case. I think a company's position on diversity, and I think our personal positions on diversity, can be a strength, it can be a differentiator, it can win in the marketplace. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry, Brian. I know this is your show, but I'm over here like
it's your show, man.
I know. I'm just ranting. Thanks for being here with me on this. Thanks for keeping me company as I get on my soapbox here. Thanks for giving me a hand up on the soapbox. Let's see here. We got a couple more comments I want to get to, and then we're going to give away some wine, I promise. John Fernandez says, man, I know the struggle. Endurance matters. Stay in the race and help others run it. I like that.
Go to Janet's comment real quick. Just right above that.
Brian, because of your experience, do you remain open when you meet people or on guard?
Open. Doors open. You get up, you lick your wounds. If getting doors in the face, slam anybody's face. I mean, that's part of sales. That's part of just business development. As what someone commented earlier about, there's no secret sauce in developing a business. Oded, I think I pronounced that right.
No, you got it. Oded, yeah. Friend of the show, the Steve Martin of LOVE+RELO. It says there's no secret sauce in developing business in this industry. You make it by hustling hard, exploring every opportunity, and making plenty of mistakes along the way. You miss every shot you don't take. I like the making plenty of mistakes along the way. Oded does that royally. I think that no, but I mean, there's something about not worrying about getting rejected, right? And just going out there and going home.
Let me stop you. Minority owned business owners, at least the ones I know, I mean, they rejection. I mean, and I'm not just that's probably a lot of people too. But the point is, I mean, rejection is just a part of the game. I mean, they don't expect to walk in. I mean, unfortunately, and it's sad. It's sad that a lot of peers, when I go to some of these conferences, or might be for some of the national minority associations and things of that nature. I mean, people, the heads aren't always held as high because you feel you are like, I'm not going to probably get this, and that's terrible, but fortunately, I think they're so resilient. I mean, hats off to many of the minority business owners of many nationalities, and the resiliency is phenomenal. In fact, they have some of the best businesses out there because they keep it in here. It's in their heart to be as best as they can be. Because they're so proud and they're so inspired by what they're doing and their missions.
Yeah, I love it. William Keating says, let's keep the Super Bowl out of the conversation. I'm still in mourning. Yeah, that's a Chiefs fan right there. Sorry you didn't win the Super Bowl, William. Chiefs privilege. Anyway, So real quick, hey, you know what? We're giving away wine day. You guys will all stay tuned here. I want to welcome in Janet and Tim here to give away some wine. Okay, Janet, what's up, Janet?
Friday night, and I get to talk wine. I'm happy.
Yeah. And we got Timmy here. What's up, Tim?
How's everybody?
Good. We got wine. We're solving the world's problems. We got some vino going on here. All right, Janet, you got to tell us about some wines that we're giving away this week.
This Friday, we are going to France and to Spain. So we're mixing it up a little bit.
France and Spain.
The first wine to give away is a rosé, even though to me it's more of a summertime drink. I know a lot of you out there are freezing, but it's a beautiful, light rosé wine from the south of France called Côte de Roses. So
Okay.
Tim, spin the wheel.
I like rosé. So Tim's going to spin it. What do you think, Tim? You got it.
Yeah, let's try. We got a new spin. Let's see what we have.
We're trying to up the production value here at Love and Relo all the time here. Hey, look at that. We got a wheel. All right. Oh, my gosh. This feels like South Park to me. I don't know why this wheel feels so, like, crazy. This is great. Tanya!
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that is high tech. That is high tech.
Tanya, shout out to Tanya. Somebody tag Tanya Maritini in the comments. Let her know she won a Côte de Roses rosé.
Rosé from the south of France. Yes. Hopefully she likes that.
Now, we do have a question from the audience here about Tim joining ZZ Top. Tim, do you have a ZZ Top anniversary that you're celebrating? All right, no.
Trying to be Santa Claus.
Roger that. All right, go ahead, Janet.
Next, we have a Juan Gil Mourvedre. I happen to love the Mourvedre. It's a very light, easy drinking red wine, similar to a Pinot Noir, but I would say a little lighter. And this would go well with your cheese, pizza, hamburgers. It's just very light and easy to drink.
That's literally what I'm having for dinner tonight. That's fantastic. Cheese, pizza, and hamburgers. By the way, shout out to our good friend Brian Rivers from First Tech Federal Credit Union. Tanya Dawn Maritini. Did I know her middle name was Dawn? I don't know that I knew that. Thank you, Brian, for sponsoring this and giving away all this wine. So is this Bodegas Hijos?
Well, I just call it Juan Gil. Yes, but yes.
Juan Gil. Yeah. What about the Hijos? Those are the sons, right? I know what bodegas are too. I grew up in New York. All right. So are we ready to spin the wheel?
Let's do it.
Let's spin it. Eat my hamburgers and my cheese and my pizza. Who's gonna win? Victoria McCullough!
She's one of my favorite people. I shouldn't say that, but yay!
Our girl Victoria won. That's fantastic. I think
she's on. She's listening, so that's good.
Could somebody at Victoria McCullough and let her know that she won in case she's not watching anymore? This is great. Sandra Clary is saying thank you so much to Brian Rivers and First Tech Federal Credit Union and Janet for my Pinot Grigio. Just for the record, I'm rooting for Alan King. I know, poor Alan. I hope Alan wins. He's over here like always like plugging First Tech. Like it's my favorite bank. He just wants to win so bad. Victoria McCullough.
All right.
This is great. Richard, hey, you're all fluent French. Yeah, no, we're not. But thanks for being nice.
Oh, we like their wine.
Yeah, we love the wine. Janet, this is great. I love these picks. Where can people buy these picks if they want to buy them, if they're just tired of waiting to win?
Well, I mean, we're getting all our wines from wine.com. But I mean, that I would say for sure. But this Juan Gil, I've seen it other places. I'm not so sure about that specific rosé, but we are ordering it from wine.com.
Awesome, Janet. Well, cheers to you. I've got a little champagne glass over here.
Thank you. I don't have anything yet, but it's Friday night and I'm signing off. I got a little sake cup with nothing in it.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's fix that, Janet. It's good to see you, Janet. I miss you.
See you too. Yes, I miss you too. It's always fun to be here on a Friday now. Or I got to fill in a little bit this week, so that was fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Janet, and we will see you next Friday. Everybody, if you haven't done so already, go to loveandrelo.com/community register, loveandrelo.com/community. Register, get your name in the hat, and we'll spin the wheel, and maybe you will win one of these days as well. So this is like super fun. See, Brian, we're giving away wine, man. We're having fun over here. You a wine guy, Brian, or no?
Bourbon guy.
Bourbon. Okay, now talk to me. What's your bourbon? What's your go-to?
Go-to that I can get, or go-to
what's going in the glass after successful Love and Relo on a Friday night?
On a good month or a good day, if I can get Blanton's, then that's my go-to.
Nice.
But I got to settle for some Weller here and there.
Yeah, nice. Okay, all right, awesome. I've been on these cask finished bourbons lately, like these sherry cask, port cask, like an Angel Envy or something like that. I love that stuff. So yeah, we'll have to get together and have one of these days. You know what? We've got a top five. I don't know that we're. Jamie saying, "Can we get a cheap sixer, Ben?" Yeah, somebody send Jamie some PBR out there. This is great. This is fantastic. Brian, I want to just maybe like kind of spend the last few minutes here. You've been so awesome with your time, and thanks to everybody out there that watched today and got involved in the comments. I know we're not having easy conversations, but we're having real conversations that hopefully really make a difference. So thank you for getting involved and being a part of the conversation. Hit that like button, throw a little heart out there to Columbus and Brian and everybody else out there on this Friday. But Brian, I wanted to kind of leave you maybe with some, what's a final thought or a final word or final discussion point you wanted to make?
Well, also real quick, I got to have to shout out to my Charlotte team too, because we're in Columbus and in Charlotte. So shout out to those folks down there.
And then you got Chad over there in Detroit. Look at that.
There's Chad's on the EE War team.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not working, man. Oh, it's after 5. Okay.
Yeah, get to work, Chad. Get to work, man. Just kidding, Chad. Love you, man.
But no, what were you asking me? I'm sorry.
I was just saying if there was a final point or a final thought you wanted to kind of touch on.
No, I mean the final thought is, I'll be selfish and make it about EE War. I'm just really, I'm really appreciative that, we've been able to turn the calendar to 140 years. And it's just, my wife and I always talk about this, and we say how that legacy and that story, it's bigger than us, right? But we just see ourselves as caretakers. And, we want it to be so much more. Sure, we're in the moving industry, the real industry, and, love all our friends and people in that world. But the story of entrepreneurship, John T. Ward and his sons and grandsons and great grandsons, and that whole story of perseverance is what is really the message and the magic that actually makes you want to unlock the door every day and just keep going for one more day. So it's 140 years, 2 months, and like one day, because that story of perseverance and when people from around the country, and especially other African-American business owners reach out and say, I had a gentleman, a mover in Boston, reached out on LinkedIn. He said, "I'm so inspired. I just started." And so shouts out to Sean for, do your thing. He said, "I want to be like EE Ward." I'm like, "No, be better, be greater," But the point is, that's what we really, that's what's near and dear to us. And it's just a testament to the team that we have, the staff, the drivers, everybody who's involved, with making us viable and sustainable. And that's what I hold near and dear. And that's the inspiration. And thank you to the 140 years worth of customers. Because one thing I want to share real quick. I just got a letter. Do I have it here on my desk? No, I don't. But hold on a second. Sorry.
Get it, man. Get it. Just don't pull your earphones out like I did when I got I
got a letter. I'm gonna hold this up. I'm gonna
hold it close. See if you can get it close there.
I got this letter, right?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Okay, now
that looks like my Grammy's handwriting.
I had this letter from a 96-year-old lady the other day. Okay, I just look at this.
Oh
right?
My gosh, I love the picture. That looks like my Grammy used to write me letters every week with $5 or what? She was $1 for.
So just in quick synopsis, like she just said, "Mr. Brooks, I'm writing you after reading the article," because there was an article about EE Ward in her local paper. And just to summarize, she just mentioned how, we moved her and her husband over the years. Her husband was a doctor. And she said, and she's common. She said, my husband, he would treat black people. Obviously, he was a white doctor, but so basically she was telling you so many words, we were fair people. We tried to be fair to everybody. But just, she went through this whole story of just reading how and she listed this in this letter, the houses we moved them to, and then they built their house. And the house that we moved into in 1964, she's still in to this day, And so like, when I get a letter like this, you're just like, I mean, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. And those are those special moments that, as little old movers, the impact, and we all make, because in Relo, I mean, think about it, we all know we're in that top 5 transitional stressor, or either, because either you're moving for a job, or you lost a job, or you bought a house, or, I mean, something's going on that's big deal, right? And so, it's just, we make a big impact. We make a big impact. And our, all of our, like I said, like you said, from the guy in the suit like you with the nice little, from you.
Your hair's out of control. I need to cut. Okay, but yes, go ahead.
To our drivers out there, our owner operators, our professional van, our PVOs, right? I mean, that's what makes it special. Like I said, I just, for what we do, and we're just fortunate that we've had the customers and the support to go for 140 years. But the whole thing now is, how do we keep it going longer? How do we create more EE awards? Because there's more out there.
I love that idea. I love the idea of mentoring new business owners, and I think that's sometimes the best way to carry forward a legacy is not only to continue succeeding, but to plant new seeds out there. So that's really cool. There's a phrase, a saying that's big in your company that I've heard you say a couple times, and it wouldn't be a good interview with Brian Brooks from EE Ward without this saying. I don't know if it was John T. Ward saying, or if it was Earl Edgar, but what is that saying that you guys always say around there?
Do what's right. That one.
Yeah.
So Eldon Ward. So Eldon was my godfather. Taught me how to swim. Joe and back behind me in the picture, or that way. And so anyway, Eldon had Eldon was he ruled the company for 50 years with the stern upright look and a suit and tie on every day, but he had a saying, and he said, "Do what's right, come what may." And there's so much to be said in that, and I know all of us in Relo get that, because you just it's kind of, you have those days. And you just, and that resonates with us, because we're going to always do what's right. Now, when it come what may, they may be happy or they may not be happy, but I did what's, you did what's right, and that means a lot to us.
Love it. I love it. I threw the quote down there as you were saying it, but that's what's up. That's awesome. I love it. Brian, thank you so much for being with us here today. Thanks for sharing the story, EE Ward. 140 years strong, another 140 years to you and Dominique and the whole team out there. You guys do wonderful work. As someone who worked for a North American agent in a prior life, always respected what you guys did. Always respected the class and the quality of work that you guys put out there. So I just look forward to your continued success. And I hope that people watching this too might give you a look, because I think it's worth the time. So. Anyway, Brian, thanks so much. Thanks everybody that joined us today. Thanks for everybody that got involved in the comments. You guys make the show better just by being here and getting involved. So thank you to you. We got another wonderful week next week, so tune in. We are going to start sending out email newsletters. So that's another thing. If you go to loveandrelo.com/community, you can sign up there not only to win wine, but also to get our email that will have all of our upcoming shows, where you can easily add it to your calendar, so we can boost our reach. So look forward to growing the show as well. But Brian, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Have a blessed weekend, man.
Thank you. Send you. Love being here. Love and Relo.
Take care, y'all.